So I would love to do this presentation in French, but to be fair, with our colleagues from Vanuatu and Fiji and from Australia, I will speak in English today. But if you can't understand any single words, please do let me know. So my name is Solène. I'm doing a PhD with the University of New Caledonia, and I'm also working for the Pacific community. I'm pleased to present the protocol and the preliminary results findings of our research on children lifestyles in Oceania. I know it's almost lunchtime, but don't worry, I'm speaking fast, so we will be on time for lunch. Okay. No? Ah, pardon. Non. Attends, je vais faire avec les... Non plus. Merci. Non, il ne veut pas. Okay. Je vais faire ça. Merci. So, non-communicable diseases are a major health concern in the Pacific region, accounting for over 80% of premature death in the region. A key risk factor for NCDs is overweight and obesity, affecting approximately 50% of the Pacific Islanders. So on this graph, if you have good eyes, you will be able to see that most of the country name, especially in red, are from the Pacific. And this is a graph from a WHO paper. So the obesity is really badly affecting the Pacific region. Childhood obesity is also a critical issue in the Pacific. Overweight children are more likely to become overweight adults, contributing to the high prevalence of NCDs. Approximately 20% of the 13-15 years olds are obese. This is data from WHO. This is a GSHS survey that they are doing in college, high school. However, there is a gap in research on children aged 6 to 12 years old, and it's in primary schools, particularly regarding the determinants of obesity and in this age group. So obesity is a multifactorial issue influenced by dietary habits, physical activity levels, socioeconomic status, and the environment. And despite that the Ministry of Health declared childhood as a priority, we still have limited data available in the region. Nothing new here for you, especially if you're working in the health area, but this is to explain that obesity, especially for children, is not only related to nutrition and physical activity. There is so many other factors that will influence the weight status of the children. So the MOVE study aims to understand, so in French, étude du mode de vie des enfants océaniens. So the aim is to understand the lifestyle of children in the Pacific region and the factors that influence their behaviors. So we've piloted this protocol in Wallis and Futuna last year. And the research investigates dietary habits, physical activity, sedentary behaviors, sleep quality, and some social and environmental factors influencing children's behavior. So there is some links with what Marie-Jeanne just presented before, but we are focusing on primary children and not adolescents for this research project. Wallis and Futuna, where is it? Right in the middle of this map, right in the middle of the Pacific. It's located between Fiji and Samoa. A very small territory, a French territory, 3 islands with only people living in Wallis and Futuna. No one is living in Alofi. 3 kingdoms and less than 12,000 inhabitants on those islands. A very small territory. The study was conducted with 5th grade students in 4 schools on the island. So in French, we call it CM2. We included 52 students in the survey, and we used multiple data collection methods, including digital questionnaires, a nutrition app, biometric measurements, accelerometers, direct observations, and some interviews and geolocation. I will now present the protocol in maybe more details. So to gain a comprehensive understanding of children's lifestyle, we collected dietary intake using an application. We developed that application, and then we use it and pilot it in Wallis and Futuna. We called it iRecall 1.24. This is a 24-hour recall app, and it's been administered by a dietitian with the children. Additionally, we gathered information on screen time, sleep quality, physical activity, and sedentary behavior with a digital questionnaire. Oh, someone is calling. Je ferme. Quitter. Ah, ok. Ouais. Merci. So we use the app, we use the digital questionnaire with the children. We also use the accelerometers. They were on it for 7 days. And we take some biometric measurements. So this is what you can see on those photos, the questionnaire, the app, and the accelerometers. And the biometrics measurements. To investigate the factors influencing children's behavior, we conducted direct observation in schools, focusing on physical activity and nutrition. Additionally, school principals completed an online questionnaire, and we organized interviews with the teachers. So here are some observations that we've done. There is lots of space available in Wallis and Futuna, especially in the schools. So there is lots of sports playground in the schools, which is good. And the teachers were really keen to participate in the interview, just as the principals who all filled the online questionnaires. And we also requested parents to fill a questionnaire regarding household income, education level, eating habits at home, physical activity practices themselves and with the kids, and also to tell us about the equipment, multimedia equipment available at home. And we also use geolocation to check the food availability around schools and also for physical activity playground. Okay, so this is a questionnaire for parents and some photos of what you can find in the shops around schools and the playground. They've built a lot of, this is what they call a city stad, and there is those kind of city stads through, just nearby every school in Wallis. Oh, I forgot to mention there is only 7 schools in Wallis. So this is a video that will explain better than me what we've done. Comment tu lances la vidéo? Ah, voilà. Falah?
Quand on nous parle de Wallis et Futuna, on pense souvent à ça, ça ou encore ça. Mais derrière cette carte postale idyllique se cache une réalité bien plus préoccupante. Le territoire fait face à une épidémie silencieuse qui touche une grande partie de sa population, les maladies non transmissibles. Ces maladies, souvent causées par une alimentation déséquilibrée et un mode de vie sédentaire, ont des conséquences dévastatrices sur la santé des habitants, en particulier celle des enfants. Comment les habitudes de vie influent sur le bien-être des enfants? Quel est l'impact de leur environnement sur leur santé? Quelles sont les solutions pour inverser cette tendance? Ce sont les questions auxquelles l'enquête MoveO tente de répondre.
Cette enquête a pour objectif d'aller plus loin par rapport aux enquêtes qu'on a menées jusqu'ici à Wallis et Futuna, où on se contentait simplement de peser et mesurer les enfants. Cette fois-ci, on essaye d'identifier des causes au surpoids et l'obésité qui touchent les enfants de Wallis et Futuna. Donc, dans le cadre de l'enquête, on a mis en place un protocole qui comprend un recueil des données alimentaires à l'aide d'une tablette et de photos de portions pour savoir exactement les quantités consommées par les enfants, un questionnaire complémentaire que les enfants ont pu compléter, qui était digital et qui leur a permis de renseigner des informations sur leur mode de vie et leurs sentiments par rapport à l'alimentation, un questionnaire qui a été envoyé aux parents, qu'ils ont eu la gentillesse de remplir et de nous retourner, un entretien avec l'enseignant pour également essayer de savoir si, selon lui, il avait suffisamment d'informations pour parler du surpoids et de l'obésité avec les élèves et s'il avait suffisamment d'outils pour mettre en place des actions au sein de sa classe. Et également un questionnaire qui a été renseigné par le chef d'établissement pour savoir quelle était la politique qui était mise en place au sein de l'école par rapport à l'alimentation et à l'activité physique. En parallèle de tout ça, on a posé sur les enfants une montre accéléromètre pendant une semaine. Ils l'ont porté non-stop pendant une semaine. Ils l'ont gardé pour dormir, pour faire du sport, et même pour se toucher. Ça nous a permis d'enregistrer des données qui nous donneront des informations sur leur pratique d'activité physique, leur temps de repos et la qualité et la durée de leur sommeil.
Comme ça, plus ou moins?
Les données permettront d'établir des nouveaux programmes pour la suite des actions qui ont déjà bien commencé. Les données viendront certainement compléter, voire valider ou confirmer les hypothèses en amont déjà avec les précédentes études qui ont été menées.
Combien de cuillères de Nutella sur ton pain? 2. Ok.
Donc, la CPS se développe, participe énormément à l'amélioration des conditions de pratique pédagogique. Elle participe également à l'amélioration des résultats, de la réussite au niveau des enfants, puisque les actions opérées avec des objectifs de santé à la fin, c'est pour développer vraiment de meilleures conditions d'apprentissage et puis de permettre d'avoir des enfants en bonne santé pour la suite.
Merci.
Okay, so now let's talk briefly about the results. So it's a bit frustrating because we don't have lots of results to present yet, but I will just show some preliminary results here. So talking about diets, okay, 55% of them are overweight or obese. Nothing new here. But then we just realized that girls have a higher daily calories consumption if you compare with boys. And children overweight or obese are eating less calories. We need to deep dive into the data to understand those results. It's possible that the girls have a better memory and will recall more food items. Or maybe the boys or the children overweight or obese are under-reporting because they know the dietitian will be more happy if they say that they are not eating too much. So we don't really know at this stage, but I hope we will have more information soon. If we compare the display of the food groups in the children's plate, we can easily see that the consumption of protective food, in green, is far away from the regional recommendations on the right side. So we are really far away from what is expecting. Protective food is fruits and vegetables. And they are eating a lot more energy food, which is more fat and also tubers, rice, and a lot of bodybuilding food, which is meat and fish, if you compare with what is recommended. I have to say that it was a bit depressed to do the interview with the children because lots of them are eating chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice to almost every lunch. So as a dietitian, I was like, oh my God, we don't know what we're going to do. But this is what it is. And now we have to work with this starting point. We also use geolocation to create this map. So in yellow, it's the schools. And in blue, all the shops that are selling food on the island. 7 schools on Wallis Island and 32 shops, which I think is a lot. Good news. So 84% of the children meet the WHO recommendation for physical activity, averaging 90 minutes per day, which is a lot. However, they also spend approximately 2,066 minutes, 266 minutes for a day in sedentary activities. And there is a lot of sports facilities, as I just mentioned before, in Wallis and Futuna, and even more than in France if you compare to the size of the population. But despite this availability of sports facilities, overweight or obese boys tend to be less active on those results. There's no big difference for the girls, but yeah, for the boys, those who are overweight or obese are less active. So moving forward, we will finalize the data analysis, including parental and teacher surveys, and also sleep assessments. We have those data, but we haven't yet analyzed those data. We will provide feedbacks for sure to the local education and health department. This is a crucial point to me because we need to work with them after that. So we need to give them a feedback on what we've done and what are the results. And they're waiting for that. So they're waiting for us to come back and provide the feedback. And of course, we'll publish a paper with all the data. For now, we've published only on the physical activity data, but not yet for the other results because there's still lots to do on it. And I would like to acknowledge the contribution of my colleagues and the institution in this project, including the Agence de Santé de Wallis et Futuna and also the health department and the education department. This support has been invaluable in making this study possible. Thank you for your attention and happy to take any question.
Thank you, Charlene. Very interesting indeed. We have good timing again. We've got 5 minutes for question. Oh, maybe just say who you are.
Thanks for your presentation. I'm Elodie Fache, and I have first a naive question and then a second question. The naive question is, what is the link between sleeping time and obesity? And the second question, could you please tell us a bit more about the informed consent and other ethical questions and maybe challenges for this project?
Okay, so between sleep and obesity, to make it simple, there is your hormone. If you are not sleeping, you have more cortisol, and cortisol gives you want to eat and blah, blah, blah. And also, if you're not sleeping that much, you have more time to eat. So basically, this is why sleep is important. And lots of studies demonstrate that those who are not sleeping enough are more obese than those who are sleeping enough. That's why we are having a special focus on sleeping time. And second question, sorry?
The informed consent and other ethical procedures and challenges.
Okay, so for the consent, we had a form that has been sent to all the parents through the teacher and the education department. So it was really easy for us. They've sent the form, collected the form, and give it to us. So we don't have, I mean, it was so easy. Parents was really keen to be part of the project. So I think only 5 children has been excluded because they don't get back the consent form. And even while we were on the island, as soon as they seen their friends wearing the accelerometers, they all wanted to be part of the project. But so we said, no, we need the form from your parents. And some came back the day after with the form filled. So the participation was very high.
Thank you.
Frank Thomas, USB. I apologize. Thank you very much for your presentation. Often Polynesians, if I may use that term, I'll get straight to the question. What is your take on the so-called thrifty gene? I know some health workers, some anthropologists have said, well, they can't help themselves. They carry this thrifty gene, l'embonpoint, especially among Polynesian populations. That so-called thrifty gene, and I'm not a doctor or a geneticist or a biologist, that was, and I was quite surprised to read that a few years ago, recently actually, that the thrifty gene hypothesis remains a hypothesis. So what is your take on that? Do you believe that the thrifty gene prevents measures to improve the health, especially not exclusively among Polynesians, people of Polynesian descent, but people in the Pacific, whether they're Polynesian or not. So I'm curious, efforts to, we're talking a lot about physical activity, but if they do carry that gene, and if that gene influences their propensity for being overweight, do you throw up your hands and say, well, there's not much we can do about it? And if it's not what it is, what we think it is, then I guess there's more hope. So I'm just wondering, to cut it short, what is your take on the thrifty gene hypothesis? Thank you.
First of all, I will never give up. I'm a dietitian, and I'm not a doctor too. I have no idea if this gene will make a difference or not, but I'm sure there is few things that we can change which will definitely improve their health. Okay, maybe they have this gene, maybe it will not allow them to be very fit, but if they are eating properly, if they are doing physical activity, at least they won't have so many consequences like NCDs coming so early in their life. You get my point?
Just one more thing.
Yes.
Okay. How do you translate thrifty gene in French? Le gène bon marché? No. How do you say that? Thrifty. Comment on dit thrifty gene? Thrift. Un gène qui... Thrifty. Être... dans le sens général, on dirait je suis thrifty, je suis conscient de mes dépenses.
Je pense qu'en français, on dit le gène d'épargne.
Peut-être, je ne sais pas. Excusez-moi, je m'excuse. Ouais. No, I just wanted to add that, yeah, because when we measure whether a person is obese or not, and I live in Fiji and I am obese, although I'm not a Pacific Islander. They said, well, there's a different, like somebody of similar height, apparently it has nothing to do with age, of similar height, but if they are of a Pacific background, then I guess they're not considered obese. And to me, that's rather strange, actually coming from medical doctors, is that somebody of 220 pounds, I don't know how many kilos that is, of the same height, would not be considered obese. And yet I am considered obese. So I have a lot of difficulty. Let's not get into a medical conversation here, but again, what is your take on that?
20 years ago, there was this, I would say, magical thing that people say, oh, BMI is not adapted to the Pacific region. And maybe, but we don't have anything else. That's the only scientific baseline we have, or scientific tools to use, is the BMI. So for the children, it's a bit different because they are growing, so we use also the charts. But we don't have anything else. So for now, we are using the BMI, CDC, IUTF, or WHO BMI, depending on the countries. And all the countries are using this one because we don't have anything else. But for sure, a rugbyman will look like obese if you're looking at this BMI, but it's not. It just have lots of muscle. So BMI is not the perfect things to use, but we don't have anything else.